Hi friends, this is Mandy on Astral Oracles, and I'm here to talk about channeling. Partially, I wanted to share some new insights I had in my own method of channeling, and it sort of arises from the fact that lately I've been really wondering about the techniques of other channelers, because I really don't know where they go for those minutes where they tune in, and this is not to rag on anybody. We all have our own idiosyncratic techniques that works for us, but 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 seeing as I shift so rapidly myself, I've been really wondering, like, why do you need 3 minutes to connect to the entity, and what do you do in those 3 minutes? What's moving through your consciousness before you connect and bring the entity through? And I know, of course, a lot of channelers have also different techniques, but it seems to me that this is often the way that people do it. That they will zone out, and then there will be um, a stretch of time where they connect, and then the entity will come through. And I think I finally figured it out, or rather I figured out what I'm doing and what the difference is, because my impression is that they sort of slowly depersonalize themselves, and then they move up the vibrational ladder, and then the entity sort of invites itself in, or they connect to it. So they shift to a slightly higher vibration, and the entity lowers it by its vibration to come through, and and then in contrast to the way I do it, and this is also why I have such a hard time trying to explain to people what I do when they ask if I could teach them to channel, because I honestly can't. And the reason for this is that it's for me deeply connected to my whole Kundalini awakening experience. So I had the experience that, as you may know, that I began having these massive energy flushes, which manifested in a lot of weird ways in my life. But for the longest time, I would pass out sometimes from accumulating so much energy, where I would find myself twitching on the floor. Also realizing that a lot of people who have had these spiritual experiences, it has been interpreted as epilepsy in earlier times. But what I do is I take in this massive influx of prana, or universal life force, and from there I immediately go to what I like to call dimension 12, and the 12th dimension is universal energy. So it's the thing that's present in all parts of the multiverse. It's essentially the universal, non-personal part of the divine that I connect with. And this will flush through me, and I immediately enter a state where I'm sort of connected to this ever-present flow, and speaking experientially, it feels very much like an influx of all the feel-good drugs that you have ever had. So it definitely has a psychedelic dimension, which is very ayahuasca-like, but it also has influxes of a lot of pleasant sensations that my body then has to hold, and that's why it also pushes up a lot of uncomfortable blocked tensions and stuff in my body as I continue in this practice, and I'm still dealing with that. But but what happens then is that from this state I just need the coordinates for whatever, and then I can connect to it. So if I have sensed the energy before, either present in someone's energy field or through someone else, or it has announced itself to me, or indeed it's a physical energy, meaning that it's very solid state and easily accessible to basic sense modalities. This means that the coordinates are pretty solidly set, and what I then do is that I translate this energy into my body, so I let it move through me, and of course this energy then allows, we could say, to be lowered vibrationally into a state where it can be perceived both by me and by other human beings, because of course my physical state is a far lower vibration than universal energy. and therefore my body is also always struggling to sort of keep up with this. And often what will happen if I channel for hours is that I will sort of revert to a lot of things that lower my vibration, simply because it's too uncomfortable to be in that state. So eating chocolate or watching YouTube videos or smoking whatever I do at the moment, which at the moment is cigarettes and not cannabis, but usually it will take the form of moving back into some of these very grounding but not necessarily completely healthy rituals, and and that's sort of how I go about it. And I think it's very interesting. I don't know if it says something about where we're moving as human beings, but I connect this very much to five-dimensional experience. So where I'm translating this information from is what is called the ether, or the Akashic field, where all information, and that's the fifth dimension, where all information is present at the same time and can be read by spiritual factors are then translated into the fourth dimensional code, which is language, essentially the mental realms. So it's kind of connecting this ever-present flow of universal energy into the place of energetic information, and then connecting that to the 4D. And that's a technical way of describing it, because of course it moves completely intuitively. But I thought I would bring you an example, because I've been seeing hummingbirds down here, and to me, of course, it's very exotic creatures, but they're also just magnificent creatures, wonderful little beings. Like, what's not to like about hummingbirds? Like, they really make your heart flutter as soon as you see them. And my sense is also that it can be a little hard for me to discern, because I've been moving about so much this year, so, and changing a lot, so personally. So what's my energy and my own personal process, and what are the universal energies that are changing all of us, and especially the people who kind of like interacting with the spiritual realms and this kind of stuff are usually people who undergo a lot of changes in these times, and are also often a lot better at using these energies for something constructively. So that's a compliment to you guys. That's another element. The more I do this, I feel I connect to so many cool people who are on their own path, and that's of course a great pleasure in and of it. In and of itself. But I really wanted you to bring the spirit of the hummingbirds, and I feel they have some advice to give us on how to handle massive energy influxes. And when I channel the spirit of something, this will be known as, it's what Plato called the realm of ideas. It's sort of where the imprint, or the idea that all manifestations of a certain basic shape that keeps manifesting itself into different varieties physically, where they reside in their eternal being. So there's also 11th dimensional humans, and this is what you may think of as the bodhisattva, or the messiah figure, these luminous beings which then also come into the world, into certain human beings who have aligned with it, and are then enlightened, but still have their own personality configurations, and still carry some of their human limitations, and they do so naturally, because they're still in a physical body, and so they look a certain way, and have certain proclivities and preferences still. And if they didn't, they couldn't exist physically. They would revert back to the 11th dimension, which is indeed the template that we're all created from. And I believe there are some old channelings about this. So I know this is rather esoteric stuff, but I also feel it might benefit some of you. And so my best advice is if you want to channel with the same technique that I do, it's simply to work on building more and more prana, life force, kundalini energy, spirit, these terms into your being. And there's a lot of other people who are probably even better at advising you at in that process. So that was a talk about channeling, and then let's see how it works out connecting to the 11th dimensional imprint and spirit of the hummingbirds. Yes. Hello, dear friends. It is almost hard for me not to move the arms and the extensions of this vessel as I come through, because you may have noticed that that is how we keep ourselves afloat. I am the soul imprint of the hummingbird, manifesting myself in all those different beautiful hummingbird species that you can interact with in certain parts of your physical realm on this great planet that we also call home. And so it is so very wonderful to be here and realize that this fluctuating energy that might be stressing you out and you are sensing, we have learned to master it. And the way we master it is essentially by allowing the movement to become so fast that it moves into stillness. And this is what you can learn from us as we begin to, as you begin to move into this higher vibrational field, where you may sense that even your singular cells, they are becoming a bit unruly and they are vibrating, and you may feel these fluxes of energy passing through you, or you may feel the great influx of dreams, and so you awake and wake up to new experiences, and there you feel that this may be upsetting to you, but know that if you take in this process, if you allow to let it run with you, if you move your wings fast enough and don't force this, just allow the energy to move where it wants, then you will sense that you actually move into a place of stillness, that whatever comes forward, all these rapid influxes, they allow you to hold still and position you in exactly the space you want to. And so we are, in a sense, truly three-dimensional. No, it's true that you elevate your heads above the ground, and you have done so through the use of your spine and your fine feet that we also admire, but you can't just float up and down as you want to. That's ability that's reserved for the birds, and we would like to see that few birds do it as well as us, because we are able to move universal life force, and we are able to sustain ourselves from the nectar of flowers, and sustaining ourselves from the nectar of flowers, we are able to turn this effervescent, beautiful energy of smell and sight and sound into pure vital life force, and there relocating ourselves into spaces. And sometimes you may also sense us appearing to you as spirit animals, because we are very powerful in the way that we choose to manifest into the human visionary experience. We like to present ourselves in moments where you need also an influx of a little hope, a little fluttering of your own heart space. And indeed, it's this high vibration that's awakening your heart space. And we have awakened this exactly by allowing the radiation of the heart space to move upwards or outwards, and then allow for this energy to become stable in that center. So we can position our beaks exactly where we want to, and we can move about really offering ourselves the best possible experiences wherever we want to. We are, of course, not too happy with the relationship that some of you grow with your ecosystems, and we would like to encourage you to leave blank spaces for us other life forms to thrive, because, of course, we all have to be here, right, people? And so you wouldn't be very happy if you couldn't go to some place and see a hummingbird, just as we wouldn't be very happy if we also couldn't appear into the visionary spaces of human beings, and they're aligned with these energies. And therefore, dear friends, this is the message that we will deliver to you this day, because this message is sorely needed for human beings. As energy awakens you, allow yourself to flow with it, allow yourself to flutter and to move and to arise up to the upwards dimensions where you feel a true sense of freedom. Heaven is a space that holds us all, and in heaven we shall unite again, just as we were together on earth. Many blessings from your birdie floating friends. Much love to you from here, from these eternal realms where we also reside. Our love, the love of the hummingbirds, to humanity we transmit. That was a fun experience. what a chirpy little fella. Hope you took something constructive from that, guys, and thank you for being here.